Second.
No problem.
Yeah. Recording. 3, 2. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so Jonas, thanks for your time. Great to have you on the show. I'm calling you via Zoom from Auckland, New Zealand, a place I know is very special to you because that's where you won your first singles ATP title. What are your memories?
That's correct.
What are your memories from that first title in 1997 and your memories of Auckland in general?
Well, I mean, that's always going to be a very special moment for me. Like you said, winning my first title. I think I had a few finals before, but I think mentally, with the experience of losing, I think I could learn a lot from that situation. And I played a left-hander, Kenneth Carlsen, in the final, and I have a pretty good record against lefties, so that was a good matchup for me. But I think I didn't have so much expectations going into 97 actually, because I was having a jumper's knee that I was struggling with through the whole season, and then I had a few injections, didn't have any preseason. So when I went over, I think I mentally was just happy to play with no pain. And then the tournament started well. I won a couple matches, got the confidence, and all of a sudden I was there winning my first one. And I always loved playing in Auckland. Great venue, really nice surrounding around that center court, good atmosphere. So just positive memories, and obviously it's always going to be a special place for me.
And not only did you win your first ATP singles title in 97, you also reached your first singles Grand Slam semi-finals at the US Open that year. Many would say your semi-finals against Greg Ruzetsky was a match that if you would have won, you would have a good chance of winning a singles Grand Slam title. What do you remember from that semi-final match against Ruzetsky?
Yeah, one of my toughest losses, I have to say. I'm totally with you that it was my best opportunity. Like I just said, I had a good record against the left-handers. I think I was 8-1 head-to-head going into that match against Greg. So I felt very good. I was playing great tennis, and to play Pat, my great friend, in the final, for sure a very tough matchup. But we had some moments when we played that, you were winning. One of us was winning 2 or 3 matches a streak, and then maybe someone took over, and that year I already beat him. So I felt I had a little bit of a momentum there, but still long way to go to win it. But I was in control. I was 2-1 up. I had a lot of break points in the fourth, and that I managed to sort of let that go, unfortunately. And then fifth set was more of a battle in the end. So it was a tough loss, no doubt. I think that was my chance, but that it comes and goes. It could have been matches that I could have lost earlier as well.
I mean, the highlight in your career is for sure winning the Davis Cup 3 times, 1994, 97, and 98. What was it about the Davis Cup that you were in, the team that you're in, that was so formidable in those years?
Well, first of all, that was my biggest dream to, one day represent my country and play for Sweden, to put on the jersey. And I grew up playing a lot of ice hockey and soccer. And I still love those sports. So I think I have a lot of team play in myself. Maybe that's why also the success of doubles. So for me to be part of a team, especially the Swedish team, was amazing. Already since I was 12 when I saw Edberg, Jared, Wilander beating US 84 in Sweden was something that I look back to and was always going through my head that one day I want to be there. So to be part of that team was unique. I think 94 came out of nowhere really, because myself and Jan Appel started to play good doubles, and all of a sudden we got that call that we couldn't believe that we actually was selected to play. and to be part of that team with Stefan Edberg, my mentor and idol, and then Magnus Larsson and a few others was too good to be true almost at that time. So to play first year in the Davis Cup squad and win it was almost better than expected. And then the rest of the years after that, we had a great depth. We had so many players to choose between. If it was clay, we can bring on 5 new guys. If it was hard court, we can, then we took another 5. And it was just an amazing situation for us that we had so many to choose between. And great camaraderie as well. I mean, we trained together all the time. So it was easy to get into the Davis Cup. It didn't feel any difference from any tournaments because we always stayed together, practiced together, lived together.
Was 94 the most special one for you out of the 3 wins?
It's tough to say because I think it is special because I just started on the tour mainly, and out of nowhere, all of a sudden, be part of a Davis Cup team and to win it. Jan Appel played 6 matches until his shoulder destroyed his career, but I mean he didn't lose a match, which was amazing. I think 97 is also unique because we played at home against US, and at the time there was not so many other sports that did well in Sweden, so we had an amazing hype going into that match, and to beat US was special. I'm very fortunate because all the 3 finals were finished by Saturday already, so that was a good thing.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about Sweden as one of the most dominant tennis countries in the 80s and 90s, like the players you just mentioned. Why do you think Sweden has not been able to produce any new top players in the past 15 or 20 years to dominate Davis Cup and tennis in general?
I think we made a huge mistake in our federation because, Björn Borg started sort of a tennis interest and the boom in Sweden, for Edberg, Wilander, Nyström, all of these guys, and at the time when everyone started, we had great leadership, we had great coaching, everyone was playing in their own clubs, but, with that, we managed to develop and get a lot of good talents into the sport of tennis. But then in the end of 90s, when, there was like 94 winning, 95, we were 95 semis, 96 finals, and then winning back to back. They were so used to it that I think they were a bit spoiled. And we had all the countries coming to Sweden to look what we do good. And then they brought it with them and improved. And I think as a federation, we were sort of more, we are good. And we didn't think that we had to improve our system. So we could, as a player, we saw already 2003, 2004 that, okay, we're going to be in deep trouble soon because, we were like 4 or 5 guys left. And after that, we had nothing. So when we all stopped, then all of a sudden it was only Robin left. And, we had to fight hard now to get back to that because other sports, I think it goes in circles as well, ups and downs. 2004 with track and field was huge in Sweden because we won 3 Olympic gold in Athens. Zlatan Ibrahimovic came into the soccer, made soccer even bigger in Sweden. So now we have to fight, with other sports as well. So it's going to take a long time.
You mentioned at the start the federation made some mistakes. What were those mistakes specifically?
But I would say that you have to constantly improve, even if you have a good system, good coaching. You got to continue to try to improve and try to find the talent into the sport. And I think they were celebrating, that we were achieving and winning instead of maybe skip the celebration when we win, go back to the office. Okay, what can we do better so we can continue to be successful? We're still a small country. So I think what we had on the 80s and 90s was exceptional. Yeah. If you look now, not even the big nations like US, France, Spain has 19 guys in the main draw of Australian Open, which we had at one stage. So it's never going to be the same, but we should definitely have 4 or 5 guys in the top 100 of both men and women, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that's where we made big mistakes. And then other sports took over maybe the talent and the interest, and tennis dropped in the interest.
I mean, back to your own career, Jonas. I was wondering, out of your 9 Grand Slam doubles titles, which one was the most memorable or best?
First Wimbledon, I would say.
Wimbledon. What year was that?
Purely because, sorry?
What year was that? And who was the part? Was it Todd Woodbridge?
Oh, yes, there was with Todd Woodbridge. I think it was 2002.
Okay. Yeah.
The first one.
Yeah.
It's not good, but I don't know it 100%. But I think it was 2002, 3, and 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you grew up watching Wimbledon on TV.
Yeah.
I think anyone who's not interested to tennis, they still have heard about Wimbledon. So I think for me, with the history and the traditions and everything around it, I think it makes it the most special tournament to be part of, to play, and to win it is exceptional.
Which doubles partner did you feel you had the most chemistry on the court with?
Yeah, I would say you need to have chemistry with everyone to be successful.
Yeah.
I think maybe that could be a little bit of my strength as a doubles player, that I could adjust and play with a lot of different partners.
Yeah.
For sure that Todd is a special relationship, even Jan Appel or Max Mirny, for instance. But, a lot of them that I still keep in touch with. So I think it's important to have a good relationship. And I think the interesting part is that you can have different interests off the court.
Yeah.
But as long as you sort of think the same on the court, then it makes it easier to be a good doubles team.
Yeah. In 2006, you made your second singles Grand Slam semifinal. You had to play a random player in the semifinals called Roger Federer. It was a rather unexpected run to the semifinal for you, considering you were unseeded in that tournament. Take us through that fortnight of what happened.
A lot happened.
Yeah.
I would say 2 weeks before, I asked some former players. Especially, I spoke to Todd Martin because I lost my first run in Queens, and up to Queens I won I think 2 matches that year.
Yeah.
I played good. I trained good. I played good on practice, but I could not win any matches.
Yeah.
So after losing, I think it was, what was his name? Wang from Taiwan.
Okay. Yeah.
I lost to him in Queens. I think I even tanked the last point because I was so upset with myself.
Yeah.
Which was very unusual. I think that's the only time it happened in my career. So I asked Todd, when do you know when it's time to quit? Because I felt I cannot continue like this. Even though I had great success in doubles, for me to only play doubles was not an option. I always wanted to play both or nothing.
Yeah.
So I asked him how should I know when it's time, and he said, "Oh, you still like to practice?" I said, "Yes." "Do you still like to play matches?" "Yes." "Do you want to win?" "Yes." So he said, "It's not there yet. You will feel it in your heart when you're mentally ready to stop." And then I changed my mentality. I went to Nottingham, which also is a special place for me, where I have won before.
Yeah.
And I went in to play Caleri from Argentina, and I only had my mission that I'm going to compete from the first ball to the last ball.
Yeah.
And somehow I won that match. I think mentally I sort of didn't have any pressure on myself. Yeah. I won that one, and all of a sudden I won another one, and then made it to the final. So going into Wimbledon, I had good form, but I had no expectations. And I think I always had a lot of expectations on myself, a lot of pressure that I wanted to succeed in Wimbledon. So I just could play very free. And since I was old, I have to say, at that time, 34. A lot of people always ask me who do you coach when I was playing with someone, or they didn't expect me that I was playing at that time. Now it's more common. So I could enjoy everything around much more. So I was happy that I had that semi-final because I could enjoy the atmosphere and everything around. And then, I had to come up and play Roger in the semis. And I had to say, I believed that I had a shot when I stepped on the court. And then after 4 or 5 games, I felt that I'm playing good, but I still is completely outplayed. So I had the best seat in the house to see Roger play his best tennis. I have to say it like that.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about some of the highlights of your career. I wanted to ask, why did you choose to retire in 2008? I mean, you're still in great form. You reached the doubles finals of Wimbledon that year, and you won the French Open doubles title only 2 years prior. What made you hang up the racket?
I came to the point during the beginning of the clay season there where I lost some matches, and it did not hurt me as much. And even when I won the matches in singles, it was not the sweet taste of winning like I had before. And I felt mentally ready to sort of do something else. I was looking forward to do something else. And like you said, I could have continued. I played with Kevin Ulliet that year. We made the finals on Wimbledon, and we played the World Tour finals in Shanghai. But for me, it's not physical enough. Some of the doubles players will kill me now, probably. But I find it not the same fitness as playing singles. It's two complete different level. To be a singles player, you have to work so hard compared to play doubles. And I always had my goal for singles, but then I liked the team play, and I love doubles. So for me, there was always something that sort of came with it, my singles. I always prepared for the tournaments. I've always prepared for the singles tournament. And then if I lost, then I would sort of do some specifics to get myself even more sharper for the doubles. So with that mentality, I felt that it was the right time. And I never had any regrets. Super happy with my decision. And I also didn't want to let Kevin Ulliet down for that year. So that's why I continued to the end. And I think Stockholm Open was my last singles match. And then I played 2 more tournaments doubles. And, I maximized my career, I think. I worked as hard as possible. And, yes, I could have won the match in New York, but at the same time, I could also lost a lot of matches. So you can't really say that I could have done something different. And, it's always easier afterwards. So I never had any regrets. And I actually was looking forward to do all the other stuff and, to have weekends off. If you had a weekend off, it was bad because then you had a bad result before.
You said other stuff. What other stuff was that?
I was more looking into, to work, to go into real life, and also to be a full-time father. At the time, Max was traveling with us for his first 5 years, and we just had our daughter Bianca 2008. So for me, there was, what I was looking forward to, to get them to the kindergarten, bring them to school, do the grocery shopping, even that for maybe other people that's boring, but for me that was nice to do something completely different. And then I started working with the the tournament in Båstad, Swedish Open. So I got into their staff group, and then we had the opportunity to take over Stockholm as well. So for me, it was super nice to really go to the other side, and I experienced all the tennis tournaments. I know what the guys are saying, what makes a tournament good and what makes a tournament bad. So it was nice to sort of come to the other side and see it from that point of view, and how sponsors react and how important it is. Sometimes you think, okay, a meet and greet for 5 minutes. For you, it feels like maybe you don't have to do it. But for the people you go to, there will be a huge difference. So I really like that, and do that work. So I still follow tennis a lot. I love tennis. A lot of commentating on Eurosport still, and I go to some places. So, it's great to still be around and follow it. But it's also nice to do the other stuff.
Yeah. After retirement, you moved into coaching. You coached Andy Murray with Emily Maresmo for some parts of 2015 and Marin Cilic from 2015 to 2017, I believe. How did both opportunities come about?
I had a phone call from Andy. I knew him quite well when he came up because I was spending a lot of time with Tim Henman. And Tim was sort of taking care of Andy when he came up so young. We always had a good relationship. I think we are about the same type of guys, like to do a lot of trash talk and have fun in the locker room. And so when he called me, he asked me specific that he wanted to improve to be more offensive. He felt like when he came up, started his career, he was very aggressive, coming to the net, and then he got a bit too defensive. So he wanted to work on his volley and returns and sort of be more aggressive, and also feeling comfortable how to cover the net. So he had for me, it's all about that the player itself call you. If an agent calls, you have no idea. You could be number 49 on the list, but the player doesn't even know who the agent is calling. So for me, it was super exciting when Andy called, and he already knew what he wanted me to do. And I knew some of them in his team already. So there was a great experience. Super happy. I had a lot of fun being part of the group, and I'm so happy to see Andy back after all the struggle he has had with his hip. Even though he lost yesterday, but I was watching his match against Federer, and it was it's really nice to see he's hitting the ball well, he's moving good, and hopefully he can have a few more years in him.
What about Marin? How did that come about, coaching Marin?
It was the same. Marin called me, and I'm a lot older, so me and Thomas Johansson used him a little bit as a hitting partner in Monaco, where we lived. So when he was young, we went over to Bob Brett's academy where Marin was working, and we trained a lot. And then he also called and asked to maybe come into his team and help him to be more comfortable. Same way a little bit with the net coverage and volleys and all of that. And both these guys are great guys off the court. But what I like the most is that both of them are so dedicated to their tennis, so professional in everything they do. It's no coincidence that they have had so much success, because they work so hard. And I would say that a lot of people work hard, but some in the top maybe don't work as hard. I think they could do a little bit more, but these guys were role models for that, and that's what I like.
Was the phone call a surprise for you when you got the phone call?
From Andy, yes. Since I stopped 2008, and I was sort of working as a tournament director for I think 5 years, and I wanted to do the coaching. I was always interested because I like the how I played myself. I didn't have a serve to rely on and do 20 aces per match, you know. So for me, it was all about tactics when I played. So that's why I always felt it would be nice to go into a coaching role and to see if it's any possibility to help a few percentage for a very good player who wants to achieve his dreams and goals. But the funny part was that I was doing the Dancing with the Stars in Sweden at the time when Andy called. And so I told him, like, I'm going out anytime, so no worry. We would do that test week, and then you know, somehow I managed to survive a few more weeks. So it was like, in the end, there was starting to be a little bit of panic there. But as soon as I dropped out of the dance, then I could join his team for a test trial. So I was a bit surprised for that one. Not as surprised with Marin, purely because then I've been doing some coaching at the time.
I mean, overall, what would you say are the differences between coaching Andy and Marin in terms of their personalities, other than being both great competitors? Differences,
I mean, they play a little bit different for sure. And they have to maybe work a bit different as well, purely because of the size of Marin, who's almost 2 meters tall. He has to do maybe different fitness, different type of trainings. But I think in a lot of things, they are much the same. They don't want to let 1 minute go from a practice. You know, really professional, hard workers. So I think in those things they are quite similar, but obviously mindset may be a little bit different as well. But very good guys and good guys off the court.
Would you say personality-wise, would you say you're more similar to Marin than to Andy?
A little bit of both. I sometimes feel that Marin is almost too nice. Which I can feel that I was sometimes as well as a person. Then I maybe had a little bit more personality like Andy, when it comes to be on court. He maybe is a little bit more grumpy. I think I was more, you know, fist pumping, you know, showing a lot of emotions and feelings. But, you know, he had that too, but he didn't maybe show it as much. But I think that still sort of was a little bit of the same.
Is coaching full-time on tour something you would consider again doing?
I think so, yes. I think the hardest part was that you got used to stay home and be part of a family. And the coaching is tough because you have to do, if you do 25 weeks, it's not that they're going to be 1 week here and there. If you go to Australia, it's 4 or 5 weeks in a row. Even though my family is used to it because we lived like that for so many years when I played. It's still, you know, the things that you have missed in life a little bit, you know, your best friend's marriage and, you know, other birthday parties or whatever. It's quite nice to sort of get back to those routines back home, and also to follow my kids, you know, when they play sport and all of that. So you want to be around, you don't want to sort of lose them somewhere. So in a way, yes, I would love to do the coaching. I think the perfect setup would be to be sharing with someone that you have the same thoughts and philosophy about how you can help. Because then it's a little bit less weeks.
Do you have a player in mind who you would like to coach?
I do definitely a few out there.
Young player, maybe.
A young player would be fun. I mean, I have to say that I'm actually doing some coaching now, but I mainly do it from home. And I'm coaching a girl named Björkman, who is ranked 300. So every time she comes back to Stockholm, we work every day. So I'm doing coaching, but I'm doing it from home, which is a little bit different as well. But if I would, maybe I would like, you know, someone like Zverev. I think, you know, just because I watched him against Andy as well. But, you know, I think, you know, with the wingspan he has, and I think he's still a bit too defensive. I think he still gets stuck 2 meters behind the baseline. I think he can do so much more damage.
Yeah.
He's still a phenomenal player. I mean, he's still a top 10 player, no doubt. But I think just to sort of the next step, that would have been a player that would have been fun to, try to help and, teach a little bit, how to cover the net and how to sort of improve those areas a little bit.
You could improve on the second serve as well. I think that needs a bit of help.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. Maybe not as bad now. I think he has improved. He's also a really hard worker. I think.
Yeah.
People don't understand how strong he is just because he's looking a bit thin. But I've seen him in the gym. People underestimate his strength. He's also one of those guys who work really hard. So I like that.
Yeah. I mean,
he also now has a good coach, David Federer. So.
Federer, yeah. I mean, Jonas, you kind of answered the next question, but your professional career started nearly 30 years ago in 1991. How do you reflect on your playing career looking back? I mean, I guess, are you grateful for tennis? That's what's everything happened to you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in this position today if it wouldn't be for my tennis.
Yeah.
When you start as a 19-year-old trying to play professional, I was not good enough to play juniors.
Yeah.
So I was 19 when I first played my first tournament outside Sweden.
Yeah.
But the experience to play satellite at the time, now it's futures.
Yeah.
You have to know umpires, shitty courts. You just have to mentally get strong, but also to all of a sudden go into an interview room. If you would have asked me when I was in the 7th or 8th grade that I sometimes in 15 years time I will do interviews in English. I will perform doing Dancing with the Stars, for instance, in front of millions of people watching, or I will be doing speeches for sponsors or whatever, or there would have been no chance. I would have said it was a bigger chance for me to win on a Euro lottery or something, So I think tennis, I'm very thankful because it has really helped me to be the one I am today, and also to meet so many great friends, because tennis is an individual sport, but it's also a great camaraderie in the locker room. It maybe has changed a little bit now because you're much more a big entourage around the guys now, but they still have a good friendship in between, even though they have to play each other. So I'm very, I appreciate that a lot, to still have a contact with so many players, and being fortunate now to go and play maybe Wimbledon and play the seniors there. That's something that I really enjoy.
I mean, how have you changed or grown as a person from turning professional in 1991 as a 19-year-old, 18-year-old to when you were 2008, when you retired, when you were 36? How have you changed or grown?
How could you say that again? How did I change?
Like, how have you changed as a person or grown as a person? Like, the differences.
Much more comfortable, confident. Not afraid of making mistakes. I would say I was, always scared of making mistakes as a youngster. I think in tennis you learn on mistakes. You get better. I'm used to be criticized as a tennis player, which also helps when you go into business. If something is bad, you don't take it personally because you want to improve and get better. So I think it has helped a lot. And then the fatherhood also helps a lot to, appreciate and, that tennis is not everything, some other things that are way more important. And, also to give back. I have my own charity with a friend of mine. That's also something that you understand much more how important it is to try to be a role model yourself, and try to support other people. So a massive change, I would say.
I mean, last part of the interview. So I'm going to name 5 players you've played against at some point in your career. Can you tell me in like a few sentences how you would try to play them and beat them? So I guess the first one, let's start with your good friend, Stefan Edberg.
Stefan Edberg.
Yeah.
Oh, I was so lucky. I was his hitting partner for 2-3 years every time he came back to Sweden. So he probably beat me, say, 50 times. And the first 20 times I didn't get any games at all.
Yeah.
But when it comes to head-to-head, it says 1-0 for me.
Yeah.
And to beat Stefan, you just have to be in the zone. I could have done anything with the ball that day. I was, it was one of my top 5 matches for sure. I was so excited to play him, but on that day, I didn't have to think much. Or every ball went in. But if I would play him, you play him on his forehand side.
Yeah.
But to do that, I think you had to move him over to the backhand first, and then over to the forehand, and hold him back, because when it comes to the net, it was almost impossible to pass.
Yeah. Gustavo Curtin.
Gustavo, phenomenal player. Played him first time in Paris. I was so disappointed when I lost. After he won another 5 matches, I was not so disappointed anymore, because then he won the whole French Open. But to beat him, I think he was a great player from the baseline. I always believe that he was maybe not moving as great forward as he was sideways. So I tried to come into the net, and I tried to play a lot of drop volleys to get him moving forward. But you cannot. In my situation, I cannot stay too long on the baseline. I had always, I had to come to the net and not make him too comfortable hitting long rallies.
Andre Agassi.
It's going to be a fast match. He's going to stand on the baseline. I was standing at the baseline, so it was all about someone who's going to take over. But it was an amazing pace he always started with. You always felt that you were rushed in the beginning. But with him as well, I had to shorten the points, because he was always going to beat me 9 out of 10 from a baseline. I think you have to mix up the pace, high ones, low ones, slice. So don't give him any rhythm. Maybe to have a chance for me to win.
Mats Wilander.
That was my first idol. Didn't sleep at all that night before I played him the first time, and played him in Washington, and he barely had a sweat, even though it was 120 degrees. But then I managed to beat him the second time, which is a highlight for me, of course. But he was also very solid from the baseline. For me, more consistent than me. So I had to, with most of my players, I had to take the net. I had to play a little bit on and off, hit hard, hit soft, moving not only sideways but forward. So I had to always mix up my game against those solid baseliners.
And last one, Pete Sampras.
Pete, well, very tough, because sometimes it could be matches where I remember he won the Hanover. He lost the first match. I can't remember to who, but he has to win. He had to win the next 2 to go through. And I think the next 4 matches, he's more or less killed everyone. So you had matches against him when he served extremely well. There was not much to do. But he was a player that you just needed to get hold of the serve, to get the returns back in play. His backhand was, weaker than the forehand, but it was still solid. It was always, but he didn't do as much. So you had to push him out on the forehand side, but at the same time, you don't want him to do the running forehand, because that was one of his best shots. So maybe play more through the middle and then attack his backhand. But I only won 1 out of 7, so it's not. I can't say that I was a lucky one to beat him. I beat him once, but not good enough to beat him. But you had to work hard to have a chance.
Yeah. Final thoughts, Jonas. Since the US Open is next week, who's your prediction on the men's? I guess
with Rafa out, Roger not there. It's one man who will be the super big favorite, and that's I would say the most complete player maybe we have right now, and that's Novak. I think the way he plays on every single surface, the defense he has, but also his offensive play, he has everything right now, and he got the confidence. He hasn't lost a match. So I think it's going to be tough for the youngsters. I'm hoping that we will have one youngster who will take away sort of a throne of his 3 maybe greatest ever we had in the game, rather than them retiring and then someone take over. We have a few guys who look now to be ready. I was surprised that Dominic Thiem lost early now in New York Cincinnati tournament, but that's a guy that I believe has a shot because he has improved a lot on his hardcourt game. But it's all about the consistency. If you look to these guys, even Zverev, I mean, surprisingly losing to Andy, you still have to say. But these guys doesn't have a consistency like the other 3. And 4 when Andy was up and not injured, semis minimum. They never really lose first or second round. So it's going to take a lot to take them away from a big throne.
Great stuff, Jonas. Thanks a lot. It was brilliant. Anyway,
no problem.
One last thing before you go. So for the start of the podcast, can you just introduce yourself? So can you just say, hi, I'm Jonas Bjorkman, and you're listening to the Double Bagel, just for the start of the podcast.
Double Bagel, yeah. Absolutely.
Whenever you're ready,
Hi, I'm Jonas Bjorkman, and you're listening to Double Bagel.
All right. Thanks, bro. Thanks, Jonas. Thanks a lot for that.
No problem. Perfect. Let me know. Send me an email when
it's out?
when you have it out, and I'll be happy to listen as well.
I'll give you I'll give you a retweet. I'll tweet you or whatever. Then hopefully you can see it. All righty.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Jonas.
Perfect.
Thanks
Thank
a lot.
You. Bye. Cheers. Bye.